My name is Kirsten, and this is my literacy autobiography on PowerPoint, because that's the only way I can figure out how to do it. Whether it's positive or negative on the timeline will be indicated by these plus or minus signs at the bottom of these little screens. So my first event was that I remember feeling very literate and like I was great at something was knowing how to write my name in cursive in kindergarten, which in reality was just my mom letting me know like how to do the shapes and the swirls and the squiggles, and told me it was my name. And so even though I didn't really know what I was doing and I couldn't write in cursive, I thought that I was just killer and super literate when I was 5 because I could write my name in cursive. Then in elementary school, when we would take reading tests, I was really disheartened because I loved reading outside of school. But in school, the comprehension tests were mostly like speed reading and not actually comprehension. It was just to see how fast you could do. And that determined whether you were literate or not. And I didn't like that part of education. And again, another part of education I didn't like was when I first started learning rhetorical devices in Miss Scovman's 7th grade class, because I was the worst at it. And I thought that because I couldn't do this, then that meant that I couldn't actually read or write as well as I thought I could. And so it was very disheartening that year, but obviously eventually I got good at them. It was just hard that year being first introduced to it. Then in 9th grade, we read Lord of the Flies and Of Mice and Men in my English class, and I loved both books, so suddenly my love of literature met my level of literacy, and I was able to write academic essays about things that I really enjoyed, and it made me feel really empowered and gave me a lot of confidence in my English abilities. And then 10th grade happened. My teacher's name was Mr. Davis. He gets a big negative because his teaching style was to belittle and critique his students into hating everything that they produced that they thought was good. And his class is actually where I decided I wanted to be an English teacher, because I knew that even though he was producing good work from us, his methods were horrifying. So I knew that there was a better way to do it, and I made a vow to do it better. So now here I am. Then when my senior year, we turned in our first draft of our IB paper. That was going to be turned in, our final draft was going to be turned in for college credit for that final IB test. And I got 12 out of 25 points on my first draft, and I was humiliated because I thought I was way better than that, and then suddenly I wasn't. And even though the reality was that I just procrastinated on the essay, I felt like I was never going to succeed because of it. And then that same teacher voted me most likely to be an English teacher, and I felt great, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm wonderful at English. Great, perfect. Then I got my score back for that same IB test, and even though a 6 out of 7 is passing and it's higher than average and it's good, I assumed that I was great. So not getting a perfect score made me really doubt my abilities, which sounds ridiculous, but it was a humbling experience, much like my next timeline point, going into my undergrad, where I realized thoroughly that I was completely average. And that was the most humbling experience of my life, especially in terms of writing ability. But then, after I realized that my writing was good, my reading ability was good, I just needed to focus more on myself than comparing myself to other people. I realized that I was actually good at something, and I would be good at teaching. And this last slide, I didn't even look at the sheet. That's something that one of the students that I tutored during my last year of undergrad told me after I had counseled her through her anxiety about an upcoming presentation. And she told me the next day, I passed, I didn't even have to look at the sheet, I did so good. And seeing how proud she was of herself made me realize that I was already better than my horrible sophomore English teacher, and that all I wanted to do was help students see their own potential and really understand that literacy is the competence to understand things that are being communicated, even if you don't always understand every aspect of it. And honestly, that being a student is about just exploring your strengths and believing in yourself. And even though I'm not perfect yet, and I'm still working on my timeline, this has been my journey so far, and I am proud of it. So thank you.